Welcome to episode 141 of Fresh Air at 5. This week, I bring you a number of different podcasts that I listen to. You can check out actually all of those podcasts by going to the show notes, or easier than that, click on the link that's in the show notes to the playlist that I've created in Spotify. So all the podcasts are in a playlist. That's my new and innovative way of sharing the content that I have listened to, as well as you can hear my podcast on the top of that playlist. So share that along, share that with people, share that playlist along. All right, thanks so much for listening. And without further ado, here we go. Oh, by the way, it's my birthday this week, and the Friday the 13th is my birthday. So this is coming out on Friday the 13th. So happy birthday to me, and thanks all for your thoughts. Happy day, and without further ado, episode 141, Fresh Air at 5.
Hi, I'm Dr. Greg Owens from the Reimagine Schools podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at Fresh Air at 5, or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey PLN, happy Tuesday, October 10, 2023. This is the first segment of Fresh Air at 5, episode 141, and I want to say that I am thankful for the opportunity to record my podcast. This is on the heels of Canadian Thanksgiving. This past weekend was our Thanksgiving weekend, and we had turkey with friends and family on Sunday, and enjoyed our time as a family at home. I worked with my son on a cricket sweatshirt project, helped my daughter with her homework. She went driving. She drove to Home Depot. Oh my goodness, she's got her learner's license, and her fourth day out of driving, my wife was like, I'll take her, and my daughter drives into the driveway. So then at the end, she's like, Dad, you got to go to Home Depot. Can I drive? And so we drove to Home Depot across a busy intersection through town, and she did a really good job. She had some moments. Oh my goodness, there was a little bit of tension. But you know what? If we're not taking the time to grow our kids, then what's the point of what we're doing? You know, right? So, yes. This morning I listened to episode 75 of Evolving with Gratitude with Lainey Rowell, as she brings us a wonderful, heartwarming, grateful guest, Dr. Kevin Brown out of Texas TASA organization, and he has served at all levels of school leadership and works with many, many people and serves 5.4 million students in Texas. That's incredible. What a weight, Kevin. That's incredible, a huge weight. But he talks about his daily gratitude practice and how that is so important and infectious in his life. He talks about it as a ritual of writing in his journal about the people that are in his life. And then after he's done that, he writes about the last 24 hours and what he saw and that he's grateful for in those 24 hours. Happy with your life, happy in your life was an idea from someone that Lainey mentioned in the podcast. Thanks so much, Kevin. It's fantastic. People, take a listen to what Kevin has to say and be encouraged. Happy Tuesday. The last thing for October 10, 2023, episode 233 of House of Ed Tech with Chris Nesi, has Chris bring us an episode called AI, Your New Teaching Assistant. And, in this episode, Chris asked the question, too much AI or too little AI, or where's it going, you know? And these are big questions we are on the precipice of right now. We've been standing on the edge of this cliff looking at the options of, do we jump in or do we stay back? Because, well, the tide's not high enough and we need to have more volume underneath before we jump in, because it scares us otherwise. We all, have this in front of us, and what are we going to do with it? The knee-jerk reaction at the beginning was, this is a tool that students are going to use to cheat. True story right now, it's kind of like that for me when I turn on ChatGPT and ask it to do something that I could do myself, to get some prompts, some ideas. Give me 30 writing prompts for my students. It would take me a long time to come up with that, but it spits it out and I go, look at that. That's pretty nifty. Feel like cheating a little bit, but we have to get past that we are in a different space now where we have to understand how to craft prompts. Just like doing Google searches and teaching students how to effectively Google search, we need to teach students how to write prompts to be able to get information back from these large language models. It's interesting how the visual part and other things. I use AI through Adobe Express and Remove BG to remove the background from images. I'm a big graphics guy and I like doing that, and I find it fascinating how fast and efficient it can do that by recognizing what's the foreground and the background. At first it was only faces, but now it's gone on to people's bodies and to objects in the foreground and things like that before took a lot of effort in Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. All right, that's all I got. Have a great day, and okay. Hey, PLN, October 11, 2023. This morning's a beautiful, cool morning. There's high cloud that's thinning out. I can see the stars through, and it's nice to be out and at it this morning. It is Wednesday, and today is an off-ish teaching day. I'm working with our grade 3 to 5s today, and I'm going to take them into Microsoft Teams and get them working in Google, a Word document. I said Google Doc, a Word doc. So that's the plan for early this morning at school, and the journey that we're going to get on. So hopefully we get there, but if not, we'll carry on later, because that's what we do. We just carry on later. Yes, this morning as I'm walking, I listened to the Tom Schimmer podcast with my friend Tom, and on episode 111, as he talks with John Orr about math. So that's in the interview section, and John Orr is out of Ontario and leading math reform change and the way we approach math, as looking at the summative and the formative and feedback, and actually growing students to be critical thinkers and problem solvers, as opposed to, I can solve this problem because I know the algorithm and the shortest way to get to the answer. The correct answer is the right answer, and that's all that matters, as opposed to the process that we use to get there. And how do we even think about math? So it was a fantastic and fascinating conversation to hear from John as he talks about math, but also talks about how we can, use these ideas of this math reform in other subjects, and thinking about our assessments. So that's so very important. In the opening segment, Tom talks about why not me mindset, and why can't I do that? I could do that. I could do that. Yes. Why are others doing that? And why not me? So that's an important way of looking at, I've got a shot at this. Why can't I do that? And then in assessment corner, he talks about implementation errors, implementation choices, and favorable practice, and how we need to be more open-minded as educators and not so fragile. All right, that's all I got. Have a good day. The last thing for October 11, 2023, listening to Teach Happier, Season 4, Episode 5. Suzanne Daly brings us the thought about conflict entrepreneurs and how and whom we spend time in with our days, and in our days with, and what do they bring to us, and what do they take away from us? Look at when you're feeling happy and joyful, and you come back from maybe a party. Who's there? who's at that space and how do you feel after the fact of that? Compared to when you're in a space with someone that is, abrasive and negative and how do you feel after that, And when do you feel your worst and who is around you when that is happening? Thanks, Suzanne, for calling our attention to this. It's important that we surround ourselves with people that lift us up and make us better. And for the conflict entrepreneurs that thrive on conflict, I think about them and wish that they would get some of my positive contagion and change their minds about conflict. All right, yes, lots going on in my head right now, and I'm not about to talk about it here. So, thanks for listening. Take a listen to Suzanne's thoughts because she's got nice, warmer thoughts than I do at moments like this. All right, have a good day. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN Fresh Air 5 here today, coming to you on October 12, 2023, out at 5 o'clock p.m. This morning I slept in. I was exhausted, did not go for my walk this morning. This afternoon, as I'm walking after I needed to be out and get some fresh air this afternoon, I listened to the outdoor learning classroom with Lauren McLean. I don't think that's the name of it. Teaching Outdoors, that's what it is. Teaching Outdoors podcast with Lauren McLean out of Coquitlam. And she brings us an episode as she talks with Maxime Panchuk out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and who is at a school that is an outdoor learning school. And in being in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon, I was like, how does this work? Well, they actually teach their students and grow their families to be prepared for the weather, because there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes choices in the winter. If we dress properly, we can go outside and do all kinds of things. Fantastic to hear all the tips. I'm going to pass this along to our kindergarten to grade 2 teacher, Chantel, at my school, so that she can take a listen and hopefully we can increase our outdoorness at our school. We've got a beautiful little outdoor classroom and so many things that we can do in our space, even in our town here in Abbotsford. All right, Maxime, thank you so much for sharing. So fantastic to hear about all the wonderful things that are going on in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I've got a bit of my heart there as my grandparents live there. I've been there for a number of years, visiting over the years, but won't be back sadly as they have passed away. But a beautiful town that you have, and it would be really cool to live there, I think, to see the town more than just when I stop in to visit. All right. Take care. Take a listen to this episode that came out on October 3rd with Lauren McLean. And yes, so fantastic. All right. Thanks so much. Or maybe it was today. Was it today? I don't know. But you'll have to listen. Okay. Bye. The last thing for October 12, 2023, as I'm finishing up my walk here, I listened to the Optimalist podcast with Sarah Candela, episode 25. This is a short episode as Sarah does a solo episode and reads for us an article from their newsletter that came out recently in the summer. And it is about professional growth by design and how do we approach professional learning and professional growth, and using like a traditional method where we have a plan for growing, and then as things move along, we just can progress through that as it is. But with the advent of AI and the showing up on the scene of ChatGPT on November 22nd of last year, she challenges us, and they challenge us. I'm not sure who wrote the article, but about thinking about professional growth as a design opportunity. What do we need? What do I need to grow professionally? And, is it possible for our organization to dictate and tell me what I need? They can provide some ideas, but it's up to me actually as a professional to understand what my needs are. Why do I walk and listen to podcasts every day? Because I've chosen to grow professionally in this manner. It is so important to me that I spend a lot of time doing it each week. My professional growth has increased and changed, and I am I think differently as an educator because of the content that I listen to. So how do we grow professionally? We have to think about it as like a design thinking process and a problem. And how can I be a better leader and a better educator as a result of taking stock and being mindful? All right, take a listen to the Optimals Podcast, episode 25. Okay, have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Hey, PLN, October 13, 2023. Did you know it's my birthday today? It is my birthday today. I'm so excited about today, Friday the 13th of October, and we are having a small gathering of friends tonight. I mean small, like it's just, a handful of friends are coming over, and we're gonna eat some steak tonight and have some beverages and just hanging out. I gotta go to work today. I'm up for fresh air at 5 this morning, and I woke up early and I'm like, well, I should probably go, but it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, nah, it's too early to go. So I'm out now for my fresh air at 5 walk. Birthday present to me came in the form of my episode recording of Behind the Mic with Chris Nesi. We recorded back in the summer, back in July, and he had these come out and published in, here we are in October, and he's got a number of others queued up and ready to go from other educator podcasters of the Educational Podcast Network coming to you soon. So thank you, Chris, for not knowing it was my birthday, but sticking this on my birthday day. And I was super excited when I saw that in our meeting notes. That this was coming, so it was something to look forward to re-listen to my conversation that I had with Chris Nesi. So yes, go check out the other episodes of Behind the Mic, which is the Voices of the Educational Podcast Network. I am part of that network, and you can hear some backstory from myself and Matt Woods and Fonz Mendoza that have already come out, so go check that out. So you got to look for Behind the Mic, Voices of the Educational Podcast Network, or EPN, in your podcatcher. All right, as we're going, I didn't put a list of the equipment out to Chris, so that's not in the show notes, but I am using right now, I'm using the JBL Endurance headphones to listen, using my iPhone 13 Pro to record, and I've got Keen shoes on, Keen walking shoes, so that I can get moving on the street. All right, thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye. The last thing for October 13, 2023, it was great to hear Dr. Chris Jones talk with Ross Purdy, who is the Dean of Students at the FAAF School in Houston, Texas. And he brings to us the key importance of relationships and how relationships are an important driver in success and community and servant leadership. And how do we serve? Are we serving out of our selfishness, or are we serving out of what's best for others? There's a lot in here that Ross and Chris talk about, and I would encourage you to take a listen, because there's some goodness and a challenge to think about how are you processing, what are you doing in your daily that makes a difference in the daily. What's your impact daily? Because that daily impact can move the needle forward in community a long ways. It was a privilege to be on Seeing to Lead almost a year ago, with Chris Jones, and you can get that link to that episode in my X feed at the top of my X page, Twitter page, that's there. And yes, Ross, thank you for your authenticity. Thank you for sharing from your heart that you need to be modeling for your son how to set goals and how to chase things that are new and novel, and to be passionate about another new thing, so that you're not being hypocritical as you're talking with your son, your family, and your students. Great to hear that you're interested in moving on to, in the future, to possibly travel the world with your family. and being a servant in those spaces. All right, Chris, great to hear from you, and we will talk to you again. And thanks again so much for being the leader that you are and bringing us your podcast. It's been a while since I've listened, but I'm glad to be back. Okay, bye-bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.